Okay, so today we are going to read an article that's called Crazy Hot Temperatures in Australia Have Snakes Cooling Off Indoors. This is from the Washington Post. And some sight words that we already know that we're going to review. There's 3 of them. We have 8, we have keep, and we have try. Okay, and then a new word that we're going to find in this article is refuge. So a little intro of the article. When temperatures get too hot and dry, snakes in Australia seek refuge or shelter in cool, damp places. Currently, Australia is experiencing record-setting temperatures. These temperatures have caused snakes to find shelter from the heat in people's homes, specifically in bathrooms. The cause of this weather is due to a polar vortex that has been giving us here in Rochester freezing cold weather and has done the exact opposite in Australia. In Australia, these temperatures have had damaging effects on the environment. We will find out what happens when humans and snakes interact in an unexpected location. So some things I want you to look for is, how does the weather affect us and the things that we like to do? Another question is, how does a change in temperature impact the species that live in an environment? So the purpose of this is we're going to read to find out how extreme weather is impacting these environments and the species in Australia. And I want you to focus on, I can stop for a moment and think about what the author is trying to tell me. So before we get reading, we're going to go through a couple words that may be a little bit tricky because they might not have ever heard of them before. So I'm going to show you a map of Australia here, okay? And there's going to be 3 cities that might be tricky names for you to pronounce. The first one is Adelaide, right here. This one is Melbourne, and this one is Brisbane. So these 3 cities are the most populated cities in Australia. There's also another word, bureau, that you're going to see, and all that means is a department, and they're going to say the Bureau of Meteorology, which just means the Department of Weather, okay? So while you're reading, I'd like you to look at the images that are in the article, and then and I want you to read any caption underneath the images, and focus on those big bold headings that you'll see as you read, okay? So that way it kind of tells you what the reading is going to be what the reading is going to be about, okay? So you can start reading. I'm going to follow along with you, and I'll help you out with any words that are hard to pronounce. So you can start with looking at that caption right here and reading that, okay?
Rough-scaled pythons are only found in
Kimberley, yeah. Region, good.
Region of Western Australia. Snakes have been showing up in people's toilets lately, seeking refuge from the extreme heat.
Okay, so now you can start reading the article.
Okay. Snakes in Australia sometimes slither into a
Suburban
backyards and homes. When the weather gets warm and they
lounge
in the sun. When it gets hot, they seek cool places. They might hide in a wall crack under the refrigerator or behind the
air conditioning
unit. Okay. When it gets too hot and dry, they search for places that are wet or damp. Some Australians are quickly learning about this. Luke Huntley is a snake catcher in Queensland, East Australia. He has had to remove snakes from people's bathrooms. It's mainly because the country has been experiencing a record-setting heat wave.
Okay, you can take a look at this image. There isn't a caption, but what can you see in the toilet?
A snake.
Yeah. All right, you can keep reading.
Recently, he removed a 7-foot python that had slithered through an open door. The snake had climbed into the shower. It was looking not only to escape the heat, but also to find weather. Days earlier, Huntley was called to remove a small tree snake that had
Coiled.
coiled in another homeowner's toilet. With the hot days and dry weather, these snakes are trying to hydrate and stay cool, just like us. Huntley said he wrote about the reptiles on his Facebook page. In Brisbane,
Good.
Australia, a woman went into a dimly lit bathroom in her home. She did not look in the toilet after she sat down. Helen Richards told the Australian Broadcasting Corporation that she had felt a tap on her skin, followed by a sharp pain. She turned and looked down and saw a python looking up at her. A large pocket of cold air, called a polar vortex, has been chilling much of the Midwest and the Northeast United States. However, the extreme opposite is happening in Australia. When it is winter in North America, it is summer in Australia. The heat wave has parched land, triggered damaging wildfires, and increased the demand for electricity. Angela Fritz wrote recently. She is part of Washington Post Capitol Weather Game. The heat also broke records. Temperature scored 116 degrees Fahrenheit on Tuesday, January 24th, in South Australia's capital,
Adelaide.
Is the highest temperature for major city. In Australia, Fritz said the same day, the South Australian town Port Augusta recorded 121 degrees Fahrenheit, the highest temperature anywhere in Australia in January. Even nighttime was not bright much really.
Good.
In the southeastern corner of the country, overnight temperatures were high as 96 degrees. Those were the warmest overnight lows for January anywhere in the world.
All right, last page.
Australia's climate has warmed just by over 33 degrees since 1910.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In Bureau.
The Bureau. There's that word. Yep. It's a hard word.
Of the third.
Meteorology.
Okay. Said the increase has led to more heat waves and severe drought conditions. Australia's 10 warmest years on record have happened in the past 13 years. Reptiles do not keep a steady body temperature. They move into the sun or the shade as needed. During cooler times, they become interactive. With warmer weather comes more snake sightings. Snake season starts in September. It's the beginning of spring in Australia. Snake season goes on throughout the summer from December to February. Australia has around 140 species of land snakes. Cities are expanding into places where snakes live. That means people and their pets are more likely to find snakes, particularly in spring. University of
Melbourne, yeah, there's that
Melbourne.
city.
Scientists said